let's talk about where it all started for you. And yeah, let's tuck in.
Yeah, well, I went to Man City at 16 years of age. Obviously, I'm from obviously South Wales, and I got spotted playing locally, for my local team in South Wales, and got invited up, and that's where it all began, really, Martyn. And I went up for 1 week's trial. I got offered. It was back in the day; they were schoolboy forms then. And I said to my parents that, it seems the fit was amazing. I loved every moment I was there, and I had options to go elsewhere, but decided that Man City was going to be the only place where I wanted to go. And 2 weeks after finishing school at 16, I moved away, and then I was there for virtually 10 years to the day.
Wow,
which is
it's a long time at a football club, isn't it?
Yeah, a very long time. Obviously, I didn't play as many games as I'd like for Man City, to be honest, because there were some exceptional goalkeepers there. Whilst my time was there, I managed to play 64 games. But what it gave me was a sort of unbelievable grounding, really, to give me the foundations to go on with my career. It's a really special place for me, and I love my time at the club.
And what was it like playing at Main Road? Special ground, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was amazing. I mean, the history, and you were super aware of the history of Man City. It's a club where they've had some amazing players. That's even to this day, obviously, in what they're doing now. But back then it was, especially in the younger setup, in the youth setup, they were renowned. And had a great history of bringing players through, which was a major attraction for me going there. Yeah, it was an honour to play for them, to be fair.
And who were the goalkeepers there in your time there when you were at the club, when you joined?
Well, they paid £1 million to Watford for Tony Coton. Tony became a stalwart at the club. I had my Welsh colleague with me as well, Andy Dibble, who was there. Ike Imo, the German international. So but Tony was throughout most of my time at the club was mainly the number one. Exceptional person, still a friend to this day, and gone on to do amazing things in his own career, not only playing but with coaching. With Man United, and obviously back at Man United now doing the goalkeeping recruitment, but. Tony was somebody that I was lucky enough to learn off. Some of my philosophies now, 33 years on, were born then, really, if I'm being brutally honest. It's, my philosophies around goalkeeping now were born in those long training sessions, discussing situations with TC and
Did you totally fall in love with goalkeeping, Martyn? Is it something you just fell in love with?
Well, I've brought up, my dad played in goal, but only locally. So I was sort of brought up around it, and I used to go and watch my father play. So it's sort of been with me from a young age.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. And obviously you've gone on to become a coach. How is this something you always wanted to do as your playing career was coming to an end? Was coaching something that you really wanted to do?
If I'm being honest, Martyn, I wasn't set in stone that I was going to go on to coaching. I was very fortunate when I was coming to the end of my career. Somebody I'm extremely thankful to this day is Dave Jones, who was the Cardiff manager at the time. He obviously saw something in me where, when I was coming at 35 years of age, sort of coming to the end of my playing career, he offered me another year, but he wanted me to stay on as player coach. Which it gave me a big decision to make, because I had a decision to carry on playing with another football club, and in the end, whether it's fate or whatever, I opted to go down the coaching route, and obviously it's a decision that I haven't looked back on, really.
Yeah, you're loving your time coaching.
Pardon?
You're loving your time coaching.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoy what I do now. My sort of every day is around goalkeeping. My younger son Kit's a goalkeeper, so we have goalkeeping discussions, and Yeah, I've got football. My middle son's at Cardiff. It's an
Yeah,
interesting one with me being
yeah, I
at
bet
Swansea.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Swansea, let's just quickly touch upon Swansea. Where there's loads of Swansea fans joining, having a great season. You're absolutely flying at the moment. You're sitting third in the Championship. You've got a wonderful young goalkeeper there as well. Can you give us a little touch upon how things are going for the club, and certainly upon your young goalkeeper that's kept it? I think he said to me earlier, he's kept more clean sheets than pretty much any other goalkeeper in Europe this year, which is quite some statistic, isn't it? It's unbelievable.
yeah. Well, we've got a brilliant young manager in Steve Cooper. I was fortunate to our paths crossed at the FA, and that's where the opportunity came for me to go to Swansea. Um, we've got Freddie Woodman on loan from Newcastle, who's since the moment Fred's walked in the building's been exceptional.
Young goalkeeper as well.
Yeah, just turned 24. Exceptional work ethic. He's a pleasure to work with every day. But the clean sheets, obviously, Freddie's a big part of it. But it's the culture within the club. The players pride themselves on keeping clean sheets and zeros. So
Yeah.
it's not only Freddie and the defenders. It's the whole team. And they, as I say, they absolutely pride themselves on not conceding goals.
Yeah, and you must be working exceptionally hard with him at the moment.
Yeah, to be an elite level goalkeeper, there's no shortcuts. It's not just Freddie. I've coached 43 first team goalkeepers in my career now, and every single one of them's had that work ethic. As I say, there's no shortcuts, and every day you have to be prepared to work to your maximum. And Freddie certainly got that in abundance.
You enjoy working with him, and you're also involved in the England international setup as well. So you're getting to work with some amazing goalkeepers, and England were absolutely blessed with keepers at the moment. And I want to touch upon international shortly. There's so many questions coming in for you. I'm absolutely blown away with the response we're getting at the moment. Somebody asked me earlier on, who is the best individual you work with in goalkeeping? Is there a standout individual that you've worked with that you've seen something in that individual that's just superior to anything you've seen in another goalkeeper?
Difficult question, because obviously I've worked with so many, and to get to the level that they've all got to, all of them have virtually played in the Premier League, and most of them have been internationals. So to get to play in the Premier League, and certainly to play for your country, they all have the same common trait, which is unbelievable work ethic, coachability, I call it. The willingness. For example, when I was coaching at West Ham, we signed Jussi Jääskeläinen, and Jussi was 38 at the time. As his coach, I was only 4 years older than him. But even at 38 and 500 games he played in the Premier League for Bolton, Jussi was still coachable. I was still able to help him in certain situations, and still with an unbelievable work ethic on the training ground. Because my theory is, and people might have heard me say before, whether you're a young goalkeeper, 8 years of age starting off, it's important that you don't waste any time. You don't waste days on the grass, because every time you set foot on the grass, it's an opportunity to get better. And the lads who get to the level of Jääskeläinen, that's what they've got in abundance for me.
I met him the one time, and he just seemed to be an incredible pro. He was so approachable, but he just seemed just a really decent individual. And I was blown away by the one time I met him. He just really struck me as a top quality professional.
He is, and it's testimony to him, getting Premiership contracts at 38. And I know his son's starting off in the game now at Crewe, and I'm sure Jussi's installed that same ethic into his son. Because not certainly in goalkeeping, but to get to the top in any sport, you have to be prepared to make the sacrifices and do the work. And people talk about this, and these are not cliches. It's very much a matter of fact. And certainly in goalkeeping, because there's so much repetition that you have to do. Mastering the basics, I call it. It's as simple as that. You have to do it. Every time you set foot on the grass, and you're practicing day in, day out. And the Askelainens and the top level goalkeepers in the world have all, they've made millions of saves, for example, in their career.
Yeah,
millions of saves from when they're 8. So there's a lot of effort gone into them having the careers they've had.
Such a difficult position to play in, and I spoke to you earlier before we come on camera. We spoke about every goalkeeper makes mistakes, and it's how you deal with them. Could we talk about that?
The mental side of goalkeeping is huge.
Something that intrigues me.
Yeah, it's huge. And what the most successful goalkeepers have in abundance is the ability to park the mistake. Now, there isn't a goalkeeper mistake that I haven't made. I can assure you. I can assure you that, and it gives me a lot of empathy as a coach to be able to understand because I've lived it. And whether you're starting off as a young goalkeeper, a young boy or a young girl in goal, part of your goalkeeping life is you 100% you've got to make mistakes, but it's okay, because I promise you that the best goalkeepers in the world, they make mistakes, and they will make mistakes moving forward. But it's the ability to say, okay, why did I do that? How did I do that? Mum and Dad may be able to help and say, it's because of this, you took the eye off the ball. And it's nothing to worry about. It's just the ability of, can you then go back, like I said, onto the grass and practice and practice and practice, so that it becomes second nature. So whether you're 8 years of age or you're Jordan Pickford, it's the same principles. It doesn't change. And when I keep talking about repetition, is you do the amount of work you do as a goalkeeper, so that when you have to make the save on the Saturday, it's almost second nature, because you've rehearsed it so much, when you've been training.
No, so important. It's so important. In your goalkeeping philosophy, can we talk about your coaching philosophy?
If you got, how long have you got?
As long as you want. We got as long as you want. These guys are going to love this. So, as much time as you got to talk, I'm more than happy. Let's get stuck into it.
My philosophies are, well, they're obviously they're personal. I'm not saying that it's the be all and end all, because the beauty of goalkeeping is there's so many grey areas, and different coaches have different ideas. My philosophies are around your work ethic, the ability, as I say, every day is an opportunity to get better. So my challenge is to Freddie Woodman and Ben Hamer and young Lewis Webb, who's a young goalkeeper who we're excited about at Swansea, and Stephen Bender, who's also another exceptional young goalkeeper. Is every day, what have you learned? So, it's a challenge for me, because I have to keep challenging them. My philosophies are around their tactical positions. Every time they work, getting them right. The technical side then, which is every time the ball hits the glove, one of my major philosophies is just keep the ball still. So if you're catching the ball in front of your face, once it's hit the glove, you don't need to do anything else. You don't need to bring it down. You don't need to turn your hands over or scoop it round. You can keep it and almost take a photograph. Is a good way for young goalkeepers to get that picture. Is to, once it hits the latex, I say keep the ball still, and that's in every instance. Whether it's if you're diving and you're catching the ball, keep the ball still. You don't need to pull it into your body, because your body momentum's going one way, and if you're pulling the ball in, your hands are then working against the momentum of your body. I have a certain philosophy around low balls that are between your ankles. I picked this up from Jordan, because part of coaching is not only you giving your philosophies to your goalkeepers, you can take things from your goalkeepers as a coach. And Jordan Pickford's got a technique where if somebody strikes the ball on the grass and it's between his ankles, for example, he kills the ball dead. So he just basically stops it. So he doesn't scoop or, because there's too many mechanics in that save that can go wrong. Yeah. So if you're watching the FATV, you'll often hear us referencing good kill, which means his little fingers are together, and he's killing the ball dead, and the ball doesn't go anywhere, because that's one thing his brain has to think about. Is if you think about trying to catch it, scoop it, we've seen goalkeepers that are scooping the ball and then the ball ends up going between the legs. But because there's one or two things in the mechanics of that save. But if you just stop it still on the floor, it's only one thing you've got to think about. And the easier we can make goalkeeping, I find that a really good philosophy is it's more beneficial to the goalkeepers you work with.
Yeah, that's brilliant. You talk about Jordan Pickford. I want to kind of roll back now to the last World Cup in 2018 in Russia, and Jordan was in unbelievable form. Can you tell us the amount of work that went into his performances at that World Cup? Because he was incredible, like top of his game, and there must have been a lot of work going into it, and certainly heading in towards that penalty shootout against Colombia. It's not just by fluke that we done well in that penalty shootout. There was a serious amount of work that went on there, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was, Martyn. To be fair, if I just touch with Jordan, what a lot of people might not know, my role with England, it's a part-time role, which it allows me, and Gareth's happy for me to work at club football also. So leading into Russia, I had the privilege to be at Everton with Big Sam, and obviously Jordan. We got the opportunity to work together every day for 6 months. Yeah. So I personally witnessed the amount of work that Jordan did leading into Russia, where the sport, he won't mind me saying, but the sports science thought that maybe he could do with losing 2 pounds in body weight. So to be fair to Jordan, he'd be at the training ground at 8 o'clock with no breakfast, and obviously the facilities at Finch Farm are fantastic. We had the luxury of a swimming pool, and the sports science head of performance put on a program where Jordan was in the swimming pool, and it's called fasted swimming. So you're swimming basically on an empty stomach. Okay. Wow. Which causes, because there's no food in your system, I'm not an expert, but my understanding is the body then turns to your fat source for energy. Yeah. So in no time, and then obviously he would refuel, have his breakfast, and then he would train on the grass with me. Yeah. And he bought into that, Jordan. He really did, and he worked.
And was he doing that regularly? The fastest swimmer, is that something he was doing on a daily basis, like weekly basis?
Not daily, but there'd be X amount of sessions in the week planned into his periodization, into his program, which was all scientifically backed. By Ryland, who's a brilliant head of performance, Ryland Morgans, and that was all mapped out. And Jordan got his body weight down, and obviously what that gives you is a huge mental lift, because he felt so good, he felt so sharp, he was training brilliantly on the grass, and it led him into being tip-top condition going into Russia. And the best example I can give of that, Martyn, which was for me, it was actually just before the penalty shootout in the Colombia game, was the save that he made in the dying seconds of the game, which was a top corner save, which his agility into that save was incredible, and the power that he generated into the dive was incredible. Yeah. And he got a fingertip on it, and it went for the corner. But sadly, Yanni Mina headed the corner in at the far post, which took us to extra time.
Yeah, and then the save wasn't ever featured again, was it?
I don't even think the quality of the save for me was the save of the tournament, because I knew the work that had gone into it months before, into that save. Because if you think about it, if he hadn't worked so hard and got himself in top condition, I don't think he makes that save. which then took us on to the extra time, and then the penalty shootout was not just a penalty shootout. To be fair, no, this has been quite well documented. It was probably 18 months' work by different brilliant work by different people at the FA, all being driven by Gareth, because of Gareth's personal belief that a penalty shootout is not it's not lap of the gods. You can do research, you can and again, you can practice, and the players religiously for 6 months in each camp before we went to Russia were practicing the whole process of the penalty shootout. The analysis department did amazing research on the Colombian players, and what their go-to penalties were. We looked at different sports and what other sports like hockey was where we got the water bottle idea from. So
talk to us about the water bottle. That is interesting what you did there. Remember it being documented at the time. Tell us a bit more about that water bottle.
Well, it is well documented. I'm not giving a secret away. We got it from Great Britain hockey, where basically the Colombian players, their pressure penalties and what they did in the pressure penalties were documented. So each player was written on the water bottle. So, for example, the first penalty was Falcao, and Jordan Pickford was given the instruction, dive right. And the proof was in the pudding, because their fourth penalty taker was Bakker, and we knew that he always put his lace through the ball, and he never side-footed his pressure penalties. So my instruction to Jordan was that just stand still and react when the ball is hit. He produced the save he did, but it was a culmination of unbelievable work driven by Gareth. I have to say, it was what a lot of people might not notice is one of Gareth's things that he wanted Jordan Pickford to do was to make sure that after each Colombian penalty, he got the football and actually presented it to his teammate who was walking forward. And I think that's born from Gareth's experience when he missed in the Euros, that he talks about the ball against West Germany being over on the side of the 18-yard box. So I've never taken a penalty, but I can imagine the pressure is immense. If you've just got to walk from the halfway line to spot the ball, never mind having to go and get the football and bring it back, and then so Gareth came up with the idea that he wanted Jordan to present the ball to
brilliant idea. Just smallest little detail.
Well, it's a friendly face in an extremely pressured situation, and the winning penalty, Eric Dyer. You see Jordan giving him the ball, and good luck, mate. Stick it in the back of the net type thing. It's just a calming influence and a friendly face, as we say, in a huge pressure situation. Yeah,
it was an incredible moment. It was only the second penalty shootout we won at a major tournament. I was reading earlier. It's a pretty incredible statistic, and like you said, so much work went into that. What was it like in the camp after that moment? I bet it was an incredible night, wasn't it?
I think it was. It was obviously a fantastic night, and a lot of justification for a lot of people doing an immense amount of work, and the proof was in the pudding. Because, as I said, Gareth was amazing in the fact that he doesn't believe that it's of course you need a certain amount of luck, Martyn. I'm not saying that, but you can practice and rehearse. And one thing we found with penalties, if any goalkeepers out there, go to take penalties, because Jordan Pickford puts himself down to be in the top 5 to take a penalty, because the players are asked, where do you see yourself? If you were number 1, or some players don't want to take a penalty, which is absolutely fine. But Jordan will always put himself in, because he scored in the Nations League against Switzerland in the penalty shootout. I think he was number 3. But the information and the research was that over time and over history, the English players were the quickest to react to the referee's whistle on a penalty shootout. Well, the referee's whistle, it's not a starter gun. It's not an Olympic race. It's not 100 meters. So when the referee blows his whistle, that's the time to compose yourself and stick to the plan. Not referee blows his whistle and I'm off 100 miles an hour to try and, you know, take the penalty. And it was those key bits of research which proved, you know, which proved the winning strategies, no doubt about it, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a great insight. Thank you, Martyn. Loads of people making comments about they're looking forward to the next international break because they're looking forward to the YouTube videos that the FA do. And I've had a lot of other people have mentioned this. They said that a lot of your service during the sessions are done off a cone, which I'd noticed as well. Could you explain a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, a lot of people always ask me about I basically, it's born off the fact of, it started 15 years ago when I started coaching, because a lot of goalkeeping coaches will know the amount of volume of kicking that you have to do. And as we're getting older as coaches and the body's getting older, it's an enormous taxing situation, striking balls every day. So it started off more medical than anything, just to try and help protect my knees, because it's easier to hit the ball that's slightly raised. But then as I evolved as a coach, I was able I started working out that you can actually get more power on a strike from the cone, which obviously simulates, you know, exactly as an outfielder will hit the ball, because you have to work at match pace as much as you can. And what I also found was the higher cones that I used, like the more traffic cones, when I hit the ball off those cones, it almost exactly replicates how an outfielder hits the ball. So if you're working with the goalkeeper dealing with cutbacks, for example, I'm taking the same shape as a number 9 would. So that repetition is seeing the same pictures of what the 9 would do. So for me, it's recreating similar strikes to how an outfielder hits the ball, because a lot of goalkeeping coaches will stand square on and, you know, hit the volley that way. But whereas an outfielder is always side on and strikes through the ball that way. So it just gave me an ideal replica, really, of you know, how outfielders hit the ball. So it was sort of born from there, really. And I think the goalkeepers value it because, you know, they work at match pace.
Yeah.
Because I can get a lot of power through the ball.
It's a great idea.
It's
an unbelievable great idea. So any dads tuning in, anybody that's working with your son, I think that is a brilliant technique that you can use. And if you check out the YouTube videos on the FA, you'll see what Martyn was doing. So it's well worth checking out the FA videos.
Sorry, Martyn, I think what in my head as well also, I don't play golf, but I know a lot of people will. And, you know, for me, my understanding is if you tee a golf ball up, I'm guessing it's slightly easier to hit than hitting one, you know, in the rough or out of high grass or whatever. So that theory was sort of born from there as well.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. Great tip for anybody coaching their son or daughter. That's for sure. We're talking about like FA videos, and another thing that's coming quite a few times. It's just been mentioned again now. We were talking a short while ago. I've been watching England training and noticed you do a challenge for the lads to do as many catches as they can without dropping the ball. Do you think this makes an impact on goalkeepers in a game? Well, you spoke about this. It's called a specific challenge as well, isn't it? Can you explain more, please, Martyn?
Yeah, I think it's important when any goalkeepers training, any young boy, any young girl, through to, you know, Jordan Pickford, Nick Pope, Dean Henderson. There can always be a challenge to your training. So I came up with we call it the Mayweather, which is, it's a series of serves in the session. And it can be mixed service, you know, ball struck off the floor, half volley or a volley, where there's 50 saves in that particular, there's 10 sets of 5 saves. From different positions, you know, on the 6-yard line, on the penalty spot, on the 18-yard line. You can go wherever in the 18-yard box and hit 5 balls. Now, when the challenge with the Mayweather is that for 50 saves, nothing's to hit the grass. So it's it's not a physical session, or it's a more mental one. So that every time you train, every ball is important. every single ball. So you want to make sure you try and get perfection for 50 saves, 50 catches, whether it's catching here or however the service comes. If nothing hits the grass, so i.e. you've caught 50 balls, you've perfected the set, as it were. 50-0 is the record of Floyd Mayweather. So he had 50 professional fights in his career, never lost one. So 50-0. Wow. So yeah, it's a goalkeeping session that's obviously linked to one of the most iconic sports people in the world, and
yeah,
the goalkeepers really value it. And for all young goalkeepers watching there, go out and try and catch 50 without hitting the grass. You know, my young son Kit, he's 15. He challenges me. Come on, Dad, I want to do the Mayweather. Freddie Woodman. I have to every week, Marge. We got to do the Mayweather today. Jordan Pickford, Popey, Dean Henderson.
Does it get competitive, Martyn?
Well, it gets competitive for themselves, and it won't be easy to do, because catching 50 balls, it's a difficult thing to do. It's not simple. You know, the service might. I think the coach or mum or dad, whoever's doing the service, has to be a bit fair. So if it's a dodgy serve, then you know you might get a bit of protest from your goalkeeper. But as long as the service is good, then obviously the serve is live and it counts. And that's the challenge. Don't let anything hit the grass. And then when you've got challenge in your training, that's how you improve, because all of a sudden your training matters. You're trying to train perfection, and don't forget, Martyn, as well, it's another 50 saves. You know, because to be an elite level goalkeeper, you're going to have to make million saves to get to that level. So it's more work, it's more saves towards getting to your end goal.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant. There's loads of people, like so many people picked up on that. I wanted to talk about that. So thank you for talking about that. Do you have a particular favourite drill? This is a question I come in from one of my regulars. He said, is there a favourite drill that you like to do with your goalkeepers?
Not particularly. Try and work my sessions. Obviously, I'm very privileged in when I work with England and I work at Swansea, because I get exceptional detail from, you know, the analysis work that's done on the opposition. So I'm able to base my week around, you know, what we're likely to face. You know, like Blackburn, we play tomorrow. You know, Blackburn have certain strategies in their game which we try and prepare for Eddie for. So there isn't a favourite drill. I don't think goalkeeping doesn't have to be complicated. You know, mums and dads, coaches, you know, grassroots coaches, whatever coach. For me, it's the goalkeepers have to work in the goal. And to do that, you need obviously a goal or even two jumpers, if you know what I mean. However you want to do it, it's absolutely fine. And you don't need any gimmicks. You don't need to be. This is only my opinion again, but you don't need to be jumping over boxes, and because that, for me, that's a separate session. You can do that with an expert in the gym. I think when you're doing your goalkeeping training, it just needs to be what happens in games. There's no need to complicate it, and you know, there's a lot of stuff on that people can look at on the internet, for example, which I'm not sure is specific to what the goalkeeper has to face on a Saturday.
So and there's just so much on the YouTube now, isn't there? There's so many different ideas, and people. There's just a lot from not professional people as well, isn't there?
And there is, and you know, there might be some rationale about why that coach is doing what he's doing, and I fully respect that. But I only think about what the boys and girls have to do on Saturday, what my goalkeepers are likely to face, what goalkeeping situations they're likely to face. And elite level sports people, for me, Martyn, people who get to the top in any sport they're doing, you know, tennis, for example. I've watched Serena Williams' coach on, and there's a brilliant series on Netflix about different coaches who are at the top of what they're doing. And they talk about repetition all the time. It's nothing fancy. You know, Serena Williams' coach, for example, talks about Serena hitting 1 million volleys at the net, so that when she comes to, you know, because it was one of the weaknesses in her game, and it was literally, he was talking about as simple as him dropping a tennis ball and Serena just volleying it into an empty court. And she's one of the most successful tennis players of all time. And I see goalkeeping like that. It doesn't need to be complicated. Mayweather's, for example, or whatever way you want to put it, if you're prepared to keep doing that type of work and practicing, you know, the basics every day, whether you're Jordan Pickford or you're just starting off, it's the same work. Yeah. It doesn't need to be fancy, and there's all sorts of things going on in the goal mouth. It's just the goal, your coach, your parents, your brothers and sisters, and a football. And it's as simple as that for me.
That's brilliant. It's brilliant. There's another question I had sent in as well. It's from the same gentleman. He said, do you think you have to be a certain height to become a goalkeeper, Martyn?
That is a good question.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
It is a tough one. And I probably guess that, you know, the way football has evolved, most goalkeepers now do have to be a certain height. It's just a criteria that, particularly when they're younger, I think, you know, to come through the system, there's certain criteria that clubs look for. And I think one of them is, you know, goalkeepers have to have a certain stature, really. If I'm honest, I don't think there's many managers who like to see a really small goalkeeper in the goal, which I'm not, you know, it is unfortunate, but you know, I do say at times that 80-90% of goalkeeping is God-given, because unfortunately, if you're you know, smaller stature, it's the jobs become more difficult. Yeah.
No, it's really, really interesting. Thank you. Another question I come in. We spoke about Euros and World Cups earlier. How do you prepare the goalkeepers a day before a Euros game? Is there a particular run that you go through? I guess it's all about opposition, like you said earlier.
Yeah, it is. It's not just the day before. You know, Jordan Pickford or Nick Pope, Dean Henderson, who are currently, you know, involved with England, Freddie Woodman with Swansea, they get sort of prepared throughout the week. And there's certain sessions then that's just a tick box session, really, which is the -1 the day before. And both Jordan and Freddie, we call it the -1 session, where there's 72 saves in that session. And again, it's different distances. 95% of goals are scored between the width of the goal and the 18-yard line. So it's just a last sort of tick box session where 72 saves come in from the 6-yard line, then they've come from the penalty spot, then the 18-yard line, you know, half volleys. So the challenge in that session the day before is get your save choice right, you know, because not every ball is the same, and that's the challenge. It's the rehearsal, you know, of there's a good chance that 95%, if you're going to concede a goal tomorrow, it would be somewhere in this region. And that culminates, my average week is between 600 and 700 saves.
That's a lot, isn't it? That's a lot of saves.
Yeah, well, it's the brilliant basics. It's, you know, goalkeepers have to be a master of repetition. You know, perfecting the same thing day in, day out, but taking pride in doing, you know, trying to get perfection. Taking pride on a Thursday, you know, Freddie has to do a Mayweather, and when he completes it, it's a celebration mentally for him as well.
Yeah. Oh, I'm loving the things you're telling us here. You've had such amazing feedback. Loads of people jumping on. Marge is a class act, humble, honest, and a fantastic mentor and friend, #union. That's from Lee. I can't see the final name. It's from somebody that knows you very well. So thank you very much for watching. There's loads of nice comments coming in. I'm loving your explanations. Won't be long before Kit does the Mayweather.
To be fair, no, this is what he does. He has completed a few, but I'll give you a little story just so to understand. We've got a young goalkeeper at Swansea, Lewis Webb, who I think's got a huge opportunity. He has capability of making world-class saves at 19, and he's been with me now day in, day out for the best part of 6 months or whatever it is. He only completed his first Mayweather about 2 weeks ago, and almost went off on a celebration around the pitch. But my point is, it isn't easy, but that is the challenge. That's what goalkeepers love. That's what goalkeepers embrace. Is trying to get the perfection of 50 saves, because that it's brilliant rehearsal for games. You're excited because you've caught 50 balls, and it's really good preparation to take you into matches.
Yeah. How much are you looking forward to the European Championships that are coming up? You must be really excited. We're going to have some fans back at the stadium as well. There must be loads of work going on behind the scenes. You've got an international catch-up in a few weeks' time. Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, very much. I mean, I'm very privileged. It's an amazing opportunity for me to work with, Gareth and Steve, and I love working with the goalkeepers. Their credit to their profession, and what I love is that they respond to the challenge and the levels that they work at every day. They certainly don't miss an opportunity. To learn and improve on the grass. And you might have seen, we have really interesting debates because there are some grey areas, and I fully accept that. And I think FATV have picked up on one or two of those discussions, and it's really fascinating. But we're double excited about the tournament. It's
got some great goalkeepers to work with, haven't you? There's some.
Yeah,
real. Nick Pope's playing really, really well. Dean Henderson's getting a chance at United now. Obviously, Jordan's found a bit of form as well. It's going to be tough for Gareth, who he chooses as his number one, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. I'm not the England manager. But
I bet you're glad you haven't got to choose.
Yeah, we're blessed at the minute. We've got goalkeepers who are playing exceptionally well, and it's really good. The timing of it is perfect, as I say, going into the tournament. There's Sam Johnson's obviously been playing very, very well for West Brom.
He's played really well, hasn't he?
Yeah. Aaron Ramsdale, I know it's a difficult situation for Sheffield United, but Aaron, over the last month, he's been playing exceptionally well. He's one of our younger goalkeepers sort of in the system. So it is exciting. Jordan Pickford been exceptional the last month. All aspects of his game. Nick Pope is as dominant a goalkeeper, I think, in the Premier League. The way Nick plays, he's so brave and bold, and Dean now's got an opportunity to have a run of games for Man United. So we're in a really, really good spot.
Yeah, we are absolutely blessed, aren't we?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a great tournament. So looking forward to it. I want to do one more question before you go, because we're nearly out of time. It's come in. It says, best advice for improving confidence and communication as I'm looking towards a career in goalkeeping coaching.
Sorry, I missed that, Martin. Could you repeat that, please? Sorry.
Yeah, it's a gentleman that's looking to get into coaching. He's asked, what's the best advice on improving confidence and communication as I'm looking towards a career in goalkeeping coaching?
Well, the best thing to improve your goalkeeper's confidence is obviously to do the work day in, day out, but keep reinforcing the amount of work that they're doing. Like I can keep referencing to Freddie that, to prepare him for a match day on a Saturday, he's ticked all the boxes throughout the week. You've made 700 saves, Fred. You've completed 3 Mayweathers. You're ready. Every single day you've worked at match pace. You haven't wasted a day. You know, we've done the analysis. You've got that box ticked. If it's younger goalkeepers, I just think it's reinforcing it. You know how brilliant they've been, the amount of work they've done. Look how many saves you've made in this session. So communication it's not easy to coach because unless you're in a senior goalkeeper and how he communicates, you know, it's difficult to replicate those messages. Communication tends to come as the goalkeepers get older, and they, as I say, they see senior goalkeepers talking throughout the game. I was fortunate enough to be coached and with Les Seeley, and sadly Les is no longer with us now. But watching Les train and was unbelievable for me as a learning curve, because good communication from a goalkeeper is in the Premier League can save you 15 goals a season. By that I mean if you're a young goalkeeper and you know if you're shouting to your defenders to pick somebody up, and your defender does pick somebody up from a cross and defender heads it away, that might have saved you a goal, and it just comes from your voice. If you're shouting to your fullbacks the importance of stopping a cross, and you know stopping the ball at source, that's there's two simple things there, and when players are in danger areas, I call them red flag areas. Young goalkeepers, can you shout to your defenders to try and get a block? So that will straight away is that communication will make your defenders better. That's for sure.
Yeah, so important. I've absolutely loved having you on tonight. It's been an absolute privilege, and the insight you've just given us into coaching and what you do on a day-to-day basis has been brilliant, Martyn. I can't thank you enough.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
You enjoying your AB1 gloves as well? I didn't mention you're wearing our gloves. You're wearing our roll finger model. You enjoying them?
Yeah, I think that they're excellent. To be fair, Asmi's got a brilliant product. I've got the Uno Pro, which is the roll finger, and I played in roll finger, so it's a glove that I think is a super product. Yeah, so it's thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well, thank you for giving up your time this evening. I know you're a busy man. Good luck for your game tomorrow. You've got a massive game tomorrow. And best of wishes for the rest of the season and the European Championships, where you're leading our 3 Lions and our goalkeepers. Yep. So we'll be tuning into the FA TV, that's for sure.
Keep an eye out for how many Mayweathers Pickford does.
We will. We will. Thank you so much, Martyn.
Okay. Cheers, Martyn.
Gentlemen. Cheers.
Thank you. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye.
Wow, what a privilege that was. Another fantastic individual to come on our show. Martyn Margetson, the England goalkeeping coach and the Swansea goalkeeping coach. He has an incredible reputation within this game. So we are very, very lucky to have him join us this evening and give us that insight that he just did. We've been speaking to coaches, ex-England legends in Paul Robinson. Make sure you catch up on all our latest Ask Martyn shows on Instagram. There's everyone's recorded and left here on Instagram to catch up on. They're also on YouTube as well. So there's tons of content to catch up on. There's a really good one with Angus Gunn as well. We're looking at guests all the time. So who knows who might be next here on this show. Thank you for joining me this Monday evening, and I will see you again next Monday at 7 p.m.